So I finally managed to do another drawing time lapse, but this time of my own character named Cirrina. I'll explain more about who she is later, I guess. I drew her a long time ago and her design has changed a lot since that point, so I wanted to give her another chance. You can see the old design sometimes on the screen, but I'll try and put it in the video itself to show it off. I basically just put on tentacles to a normal human body and kind of pass it off as a normal design, which never really like when designers do that in any situation. So I decided to make the character look a little bit more interesting on her own instead of just being a normal human mixed with tentacles and whatnot. Since she's even though she's part human, she doesn't have any bones, so I try to make her body very round and flowy. Her arms don't have joints; they kind of just flow like normal, like tentacles really. I start off with her glasses on a different layer, but I decided to change that later, so this doesn't really matter at all. At least that's what her eyes are supposed to look like underneath her glasses. I really like drawing characters with really big eyelashes and weird eyelash shapes. The pose I gave her before was sort of meant to be her sort of making some sort of weird snarky nerdy remark on something, but kind of ended up now being something else, slightly more she's sort of counting off something out of a list or something. I don't know, just slightly different in appearance. And before she actually had a little notebook in her hand, but since she's supposed to be in a high-tech sci-fi setting, I gave her a holographic phone instead. And even though her design is much more solid this time around, I do go around and edit her design as I'm drawing. I got rid of the fins on her arms and her tentacle legs. And I was planning on giving her weird lines across her the ends of her tentacles, but that just didn't work out, as you'll see later. So she's actually supposed to be part human and part octopus, even though she's much more visually designed after sea slugs and stuff like that, which I didn't even plan for, but honestly sea slugs look really cool, so I just kind of I guess I did that accidentally. But yeah, she's supposed to be a hybrid between human and octopus, where octopuses in this universe are actually intelligent beings that are just they accidentally put their babies on Earth at some point, and that's why they're here. But their intelligent forms are actual a full-on civilization. Apart from that, she's just kind of interested in the idea of species hybrids and stuff like that. She's supposed to be sort of a nerdy type character who's nerds out about the biology that can mix between different species. But one of the interesting things that I'm trying to do more of is do some more good stuff with the lines and all that. As you'll see in a second. At first, I just kind of try and vary the line weight a lot more. But as you'll see later, I actually try and draw on an outline to the drawing. Before, I usually put on an outline, but it was a Photoshop filter or something that very algorithmically just like place itself around the drawing, but that kind of like messes things up most of the time. So instead of doing that, I kind of just like do it on myself to like vary it between the lines myself, and I don't really have to like worry about like transparent. It always messes up like transparent things, which is going to obviously mess up like your fins in the phone here. So it was really necessary, but I was going to do it anyway, so it didn't really matter. I can put like emphasis on the lines inside of the drawing, like on her weird antennae, like in the middle of her head, that the Photoshop filter wouldn't have done. So that makes it a lot better. Plus, I also gave the fin. I kept it off of the fins on her back, just to like make them like look more like frail and like flimsy and like a I don't know if the term is like filmy, like they're very like thin and transparent. Here's the other thing, where I kind of like blend in like the points of the lines. Like, I don't even know how to like describe it really, but like just like putting an extra little bit of weight in between like those little areas. Like you can probably like figure out like the pattern. I don't really know how to describe it in words, but definitely like all of those edges and like the back like area of like the drawing. It definitely makes it like a lot more like dynamic and stuff, which I think really like benefits the drawing pretty much universally. I think I'll keep doing that pretty much forever. And of course, since this character has so many like gradients on her, I had to like put everything on like one selection and like slowly but surely like shade everything in. Here's where I thought to give her palms that sort of like inner tentacle look. I think I mainly took that from Splatoon characters because the inside of their tentacles are very like white. I think I also got the spots from Splatoon characters as well, since they have spots in their tentacles. I never know what to color the mouth like. I never usually color the mouth on the sketches since their mouth is usually closed, but eventually I'll have to figure that out for every character. The hologram of the phone is very like light based. It has to be shaded without a white outline instead. And here's the lines that I eventually get rid of. There's probably some way to do it right, but I don't know how to do that yet. Plus it gets kind of annoying to do. And since there's so like it's hard to like shade a gradient with different colors when like you start off, I pretty much had to shade the entire body the same color, and I'll change the color of the shading later. I like shade the shading itself by putting a clipping layer on top of it, and then shading with the new color. One of the things I'm glad about with the new style of using a flat shading is that I can pretty much like delete like a lot of the shading in one area, like you saw with that arm that's carrying the phone. I pretty much deleted all the shading there because it didn't really look right. And even though there's definitely would be more shading in real life, since it's so like cartoony and like flat and not realistic, I can basically just afford to just like get rid of the shading there because it doesn't look good. I don't have to worry about anything else. And even though I was initially just doing the highlights of the tan parts and the red parts the same color, I was actually decided that the color actually works with both. Like normally I don't have to like change it for the red part at all, which really made it easy. Since she's supposed to be very like slimy and shiny and all that. That little specific drawing on the phone is actually supposed to be another species that's irrelevant to her, really. And this is kind of like a little Easter egg for myself, I guess, just to put it on there. I don't really know what the material of her little like scarf thing is supposed to be, so I just kind of made it like sort of like hair-like. I don't know. Again, since it's so like flat and cartoony, I don't really have to like establish that sort of thing. Shading a transparent object is really always weird. I don't really know how to like do it perfectly, but I can always make it look good enough. Oh, and another benefit of not having the Photoshop outline is that I can actually shade the actual outer outline of the drawing, so I don't have to like worry about it like making a permanent black line across everything, as you can see with the fins. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is. Hopefully I'll be able to do a lot more stuff later.